Fuck. Yeah, you can't lose your virginity until you gain your virginity. How does one gain their virginity? What is... You say reverse sex like that's an obvious answer. I don't know what the fuck that means. It's like sex, but not... I don't know what that means! Take your mom's virginity. Oh boy, that actually makes sense. And I am really sorry I asked. By being a Reddit mod. By posting on 4chan. It's like something you get, like, once you're born, you're just given a virginity. It's like your membership card to life. And then when you lose your virginity, you're like a fucking grasshopper and you fucking die. Is it grasshoppers? Grasshoppers that die at sex? They bite off the fucking heads of the man, right? Mantises, thank you. Oh, is it a lot of insects? Okay, that's fair. I see, you say bugs do that. I'm sure some humans do that too. Have sex with them and then they kill you. Vor in the insect world is a common Is it a fetish though if it's normal? Like, I feel like just the word fetish implies that it's like an unusual thing. It's like saying you have a vagina fetish. It's like, no, that's not what the definition of fetish is. Yeah, stab a girl with a dick, then she stabs you with a knife. I mean, yeah, that's eye for an eye, dick for a dick. No, boobs would not be a fetish. You can't have a boob fetish. We've talked about this a million times. The literal definition of a fetish is like being attracted to a non-sexual organ. Does that make sense? They aren't explicitly a part of the act of sex itself. Well, no, I mean, it's still like an erogenous zone. It's still something that can be. Typically, feet don't have like a sexual response, right? Foot fetish makes sense. A knee fetish, you know, shit like that. Breasts are secondary sexual characteristics. That sounds very official. Did you just make that up? Secondary sexual identifiers. Okay, you didn't make that up. That's wild. I did not know that as a term. Being outside of the societal norm. No, it has nothing to do with societal norms. I think the definition literally like speaks more on like whether or not it is erogenous in nature. Has to do with genitals. Yes and no. I mean, the reason is because it's just like when you're actually like dealing with this on like a psychological level, like you want to be able to weed out things that are, you know, objective truths. Otherwise you could be like, oh no, my fetish for vagina is just so crazy. You're going off Web. Okay, what does WebMD say besides that I have cancer? Sexual fetishism or erotic fetishism is sexual fixation on a non-living object or non-genital body. Okay, so non-genital. Okay, what is a genital? How much is one genital? Yeah, part of the body that makes you commit cum. I really like commit cum. Is the butt a genital? I think so. Like the anus. The sphincter, I think that's genitals. God damn it! That cute motherfucker committed dead on me. Boob I don't think boob fetish is a thing. I feel like fetish has to kind of imply that like, to be able to do anything with that like, not diagnosis. I guess like you could diagnose somebody with like solar plexus fetish. Right? God, I love a good solar plexus. Every time I see a fucking femur, I coom. I love bones. Yeah, what if you're like, I have a blood fetish? I'm sure people do. Well, I mean, that's probably like vampirism. Highly atypical How is breast fetishism highly atypical? Hematophilia? Wouldn't it just be oh, I guess it wouldn't be hemophilia, would it? That's a totally different fucking thing. Hot girl collarbones? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I feel the collarbones. If boobs are not a fetish, would you say so? Well, yeah, like I feel like it's just a thing. I don't know. No, vagina's not a fetish. That's a genital. Can't have a fucking pussy fetish. I mean, you can, but it's not gonna be called that because it's just a normal thing. It's like a fucking girl saying I have a cock fetish. What about a balls fetish? I don't think that'd be a fetish. Like, my understanding is that it wouldn't be. I'm not convinced. WebMD has done me wrong before. How is vagina not a fetish? Because fetish is something that's non-fucking, it's like abnormal. Cum fetish? I mean, yeah, I guess so. You're saying you didn't have cancer? No, I didn't have fucking cancer. At least I don't think I did. I'm not dead yet. Ball sacks. Ball sacks fetish. No! Vehicular Bomberman slot. And I can't get the heart! Fuck this game. Preferential sex arousal in association with non-living objects or over-inclusive focus on typically non-sexual body parts. Typically non-sexual body parts, hand, feet. Okay, yeah. And body secretion. So it's not necessarily like a normal thing to like get off from blood or cum or tears. Yikes, we're getting into some dark shit. If you were a porn genre, which one would you be? I'd be personality. I don't know, I think that the key there is like non-sexual. Boobs aren't sexual, they've just been made sexual. I disagree because boobs can be erogenous. You know, some girls or dudes are completely indifferent to having their nippies touched, you know, but yeah, I don't know. Okay, a vagina sniffing fetish. Yeah, see, that's different. Erogenous doesn't inherently mean sexual, though. I guess it does. I feel like having an erogenous zone kind of implies that you would have a sexual reaction to it. And I feel like breasts can have that. There are people who feel direct sexual feeling when fondled the baboozles. Can also be aroused by leg touches and massaging the right spot of feet. I think you just have a foot fetish voice. That's not how it works for me. But I guess that's the counter argument to like some people feel more erogenous in their breasticle than they do. I don't know. I definitely know a lot of people who don't get aroused by it. Baboobles, fondlings, subjectivity to feelings. Right, well, but I feel like there is an objectivity to whether or not something directly gives you a sexual excitement. It doesn't make them sexual, I guess. Yeah, I think that's where my understanding falls apart then. If you say that it has to be something abnormal or like it has to be something unusual, that's where society comes in because we live in one. That's kind of like where it all comes down to. It's just like, I think a lot of people feel that like the reason boobs are sexual is because of society. That they're not necessarily as much of an erogenous zone as something like a penis or a vagina. Then you can start getting into like neurotypical, physiotypical. Is that the word I'm looking for? What is normal for a human body? Is it normal for a human body to be turned on? But it's not, because there's people who are, you know, asexual, aromantic. I feel like it sounds like so like counter whatever, but like I feel like the reason why I'm being so tough on it is that like if it's so subjective, then what's the use in even having the word? If anything can be a fetish, then what's the use of having a fetish? Or being able to like mark something as being a fetish? Because the idea is like you have a weird fetish and maybe it has some amount of distress to your life. It makes it hard to live because it's hard to focus. Or maybe it's hard to engage in sexual activity because you find yourself abnormally distracted by the desire of wanting something that's unusual. And because of that, you have a hard time being able to engage in sexual relationships. Anything is a fetish, nothing is. Kind of, not really, but like it's so hard because by defining things, you have to ignore some level of subjectivity, relinquish some amount of like normalcy. Because there is no normal. What if there is no PP? What if it's two lesbians or two gay guys? Or maybe it's a heterosexual couple that doesn't engage in intercourse. Like, I feel like these are kind of all like scenarios in which it doesn't actually matter, like whether or not like something qualifies as a fetish or not. I think like what I'm more talking about is like helping diagnose people and help them deal with like problems that they might have. Like the idea is like somebody is trying to have a normal sexual life, right? They are successful meeting people, getting partners, but it always crumbles at the moment of sex because they need something strange, something that might actually be gross or uncomfortable for the other person to be able to provide. Maybe it's like a constant thing. Like you definitely have this with like a foot fetish, right? You definitely have like, if somebody has like a really raging foot fetish, I'm sure that it would be more difficult than other people to find people who would be able to like satiate that. How do you deal with that psychologically without being able to have some kind of way of diagnosing that as something, you know, different? Some people really like their fucking nipples dabbled, their nippies tickled. Oh wow, that could bring me to orgasm. Like I could do the orgasm.